Hi, I'm Ron with Cruising This Old Boat, and today I'm going to show you how to change the shore power connector on your boat. Hi, I'm Ron.
And I'm Marie.
10 years ago, we bought a broken down trawler for $4,000.
And nothing worked, not even the kitchen sink.
After a lot of hard work and help from our friends and family, we moved aboard Elixir full time. And now we are cruising this old boat while the work and fun continues.
So subscribe and give us a like and come along with us, cruising this old boat.
One of the most common causes of boat fires is the shore power connection on the boat. So you want to inspect this regularly. We check ours every time we unplug from a dock. We look at it. We actually take the cords off, and that way it forces us to look at it. And the last time we unplugged, as you can see here, yes, we had some damage. It got overheated. If we continue to use this connector, we're in danger of catching on fire. So we don't want to do that. We're going to replace this connector and also the shore power cable, which was also damaged. And it's just, they're not cheap, but it's just not worth the risk. So when you want to change out the connector, the first thing you want to do is unscrew the connector from the bulkhead. Next, loosen the strain relief. Now you notice here that the strain relief is actually on the individual wires. That's not recommended. You should always try to have your sheathing being held by the strain relief, and then separate into the individual wires to connect to the connector. This may have been the cause of the failure of this one, I don't know, but it creates additional resistance and heat if you're squeezing down on that wire at that point. So if possible, always have the sheathing come up that far and let the strain relief press down on the sheathing, not the individual wires. You can clearly see here that the point at which this wire is melted is directly inside the strain relief, so could have been it. Then take the rear cover off of the connector. Loosen the wire retaining screws and remove the wires from the connector, and then separate the connector from your wires, and depending on your type of connector it'll vary, but just pull them out, get the connector off there. The next step is to inspect your wire. Always inspect your wire before you just hook it back up to a new connector, especially if there's been damage to your connector. I think it's pretty obvious without doing too much inspection on mine that I'm gonna have to replace my wires, but it's up to you whether you replace your wires or reuse them. Me personally, if there's been any damage to my connector whatsoever, I'm probably just gonna replace the wire, because who knows what's happened inside the jacketing that you can't see. But at least inspect it, make sure it looks good to you if you're gonna reuse it. And but next step for me is I need to replace that wire. How the wire is run will vary from boat to boat, but basically it should go to some sort of shore power connection switch. That may be a series of breakers, or in my case a single large switch. However, it'll go to something on your boat, and you need to disconnect the wires from that as well if you're going to change the wires out. Now, I always recommend, if you're messing around with a shore power selector switch, that you disconnect all shore power There's a lot of power coming in on that switch, and remember, at least on my boat, I've got 2 legs coming in. So just because I've got this one disconnected doesn't mean there's not power on the other leg, and I may accidentally touch one of those screws while I'm in there messing with this one. So I just shut off the power at the shore and make sure that I have no power coming to my boat. Also be cognizant that you have DC power even when your AC is shut off. So if your DC panel is nearby or you have DC connections nearby, be aware of that. And one last thing to be aware of is an inverter. I do have an inverter on my boat. If you have an inverter on yours, even with the AC power turned off, that may be supplying AC power to the area that you're working in. So again, make sure that you don't have any power that you're going to accidentally touch. With all that in mind, let's go ahead and remove the wiring from the shore power selector switch. Next, clean off any excess dirt, grime, gunk on the surface area so that your gasket on the new shore power cable connector will make a good seal. Once you've inspected your wire and made sure that it's reusable, or if it's not, you've replaced the wire, then you want to hook it up to the new connector. Make sure you slide the wire through the retaining clip first, and then insert the wire. Now you want to make sure that when you insert the wire into the individual connectors that there's no insulation down in there. Only bare wire, because if you get insulation in the connectors, it will hold the connector off the wire and then you'll have a arcing happen. So make sure there's no insulation down in there. Now it doesn't hurt to add some dielectric grease on there. It will help protect the wires from corrosion and make better contact. When you install the wires in the connector, make sure that you hook the right wire up to the right prong. It comes with instructions. It'll tell you which is which, but also most of them have some sort of designation on the connector itself. On this particular connector, it's actually, each screw is color coded. The screw to tighten the individual connector down is color coded, so black for hot, just the plain screw color for the white wire, and a green screw for the ground wire. Also on the back, they have a colored ring around each of them. So they have a black ring around the where the black wire goes, and a white ring around where the white wire goes, and a green ring around where the green wire goes. So it's pretty simple, kind of hard to mess it up. So get your wires hooked up, and next you're going to slide the retaining clip and the protection cup over the connector and tighten it down. Again, if you can, try to have it positioned so that your retaining clip tightens down on the overall wire jacket and not on the individual wires. Next, insert the entire assembly into the hole on the side of the boat. And tighten the screws. Now the assembly should come with a gasket, so make sure that you have that on there. Finally, insert the wires into the proper place on the selector switch and tighten them down, and we're all done, and you're ready to hook up your shore power cable again. Thanks for watching.